Today we're going to be looking at plate 8 nectar prototype. You're going to notice in this drawing that it is mostly all commands and drawing methods that you have used previously. What we're going to be doing in this drawing is we're going to be taking a look at this part and we're going to be pretending that we submit it to the design group, and the design group says nope, we want to make several changes to that object. And instead of us having to redraw the entire object, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to copy this object, place the object in a new location, and make modifications to the drawing and save ourselves a lot of work. Now, what we're going to do is you're going to notice that this drawing is split up. Now, the PDF, for whatever reason, is not showing up that good on my screen today. I've tried, and this is best I can get it. So we're going to just make do with what it is, and we're going to focus on this part to start with. Once I zoom in, you'll notice I get the clarity on the drawing. So that's all we really care about. So moving forward, what we're going to do is we're going to look at creating several things. We're going to create the object first. We're then going to go in and we're going to lay out our center lines. We're going to correct this center line right here so that it shows up correctly. And then lastly, we're going to go through and do some dimensions to the object. First thing we're going to do to start is we are going to break down our drawing into two drawing sections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in MID after I go into the line command, draw my line, hit an F8 so that I'm guaranteed to draw a straight line. It's wanting to snap over there. I don't want it to do that. So let's go ahead and type in mid again. Let's get that locked in. Did I accidentally draw a line there? I did. So I'm going to select and delete. Now I've got two drawing areas. The next thing that I want to do is I want to get it so that this object is relatively centered. Now I'm going to use this point right here as my centering of my object. Now we can move this later on if we need to. We're just going to go ahead and just do this like we've done before. Diagonal line, corner to corner. Then we're going to start into with the circle. Drawing a circle from the mid again. And we're going to go ahead and start typing in these numbers. Remember, this is diameter and this is radius. So let's go ahead, type in D, enter, 1, enter, space bar, brings us back into it. D, enter, 1.667, enter. We then are going to draw a line and offset that line 1.5 units up. I'll draw a line right here, straight through, just like that. Don't really care how long it is. I'm going to use the offset command here. I'm going to type in a distance of 1.5. The object, offset it upwards. And then I'm going to take and draw a line straight through the object. Again, not caring how long it is. And I'm going to look here and I'm going to notice that I have an offset distance of 0.17. Let's go into the offset again, 0.167. And then we can take and delete our original line here because we no longer need that. And let's see here. We're going to use this line right here, down here. So we're going to keep that. Is there anything else that we can delete? Doesn't look like it. Now we can draw these circles right here. So let's go ahead. 0.67. So D, enter, 0.667. Repeat here. Now our radius is going to be 0.667. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from this intersecting point to that intersecting point right there. I am going to draw a line going straight down here. And I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to go ahead and delete a couple of uh, information that we no longer need. And then before we go and trim, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, draw from this endpoint, 0.5 upwards. I don't know what this angle is, but what I do know is that I have a distance from here to this center point and from here to that center point. Now let's go ahead and use the offset command again. We're going to type in a distance of 1.246. Take this object here, offset it upwards. I do not have a line from this center. I might have just, that's okay. Take this here, again, offsetting, distance of 1. Using this intersecting point right here, I'm going to go into a circle, draw a radius of 0.333. Now I can come in here again, line, tangent, TAN, this circle, place it. Now I'm going to go ahead, no longer need this line here, no longer need this line here, no longer need that line there. So I'm going to go ahead and start trimming up my object. So I'm going to come up here to trim. I'll pick some boundaries. This is a boundary, this is a boundary, here, here, pick the circle here. And let's see here, do we need anything else? I think that's it. So first thing I can do, whoops, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to pick something for boundary. Control Z, Control Z, and let's see here. I'm going to escape out. I'm going to go back into my trim command. I'm going to pick my boundaries. Sure that I pick everything that I want. Now that I've learned that I need an extra line, delete this, don't need that, don't need that, this. I did need that. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Wrong piece. No longer need that, no longer need that, no longer need that, or this. Oh, it's not going to let me delete that, so we'll take care of that in a moment. Don't need that, don't need that. Like that and delete. Now we've got our object. Next thing we got to do is we've got to, looks like we have a drill hole right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw that drill hole in. Now, we're going to use, let's see here. Overall distance from the edge inward is 0.887. So going to offset 0.887. Take our object, bring it over. And then we're going to use the offset again. So offset 0.267, enter. Take that object, draw it like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the extend command for trim, extend, right click, extend those two objects upwards like that. Now I need to figure out where the center of that line is. So I'm going to simply draw a line, do a diagonal line just like that, nice and easy. Draw a line again. I'm going to type in mid. I go from here straight up, don't care how long it is. Grab it, move the center point down to here, just like that. Now, we're not quite done with this because we have a rule. Remember that rule says that this line should be 1/8 of an inch above and below our object. So let's go into the offset. Type in 1/8. Take this object up, object down, just like that. And then let's go ahead and use our trim command. Right click, select those, delete them. Select our object here, delete those because we no longer need those. And let's go ahead and convert these over to a different layer. So let's go under our layer controls. You're going to notice I do not have the layer I need. So let's go under layer properties. Let's go ahead and add two new layers. And first layer I'm going to create is called hidden. Change the color, blue. I'm going to change my line type, load, under hidden, and I'm going to pick hidden 0.5. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Then I'm going to come up to this one here. And let's see here. Do I need anything else? I've got my center line, so I guess I didn't have to. Come over to my center line, and I'm going to change my center line loading. I call that center 0.5 also, just because it's a smaller object, so I want a little bit more of a center line to show. Everything else looks good. Close that out. Come back over to our layers, selecting our two objects. Coming over to our layers, changing our layer over to our hidden layer. Perfect. Hit escape to get out of that. Like my object, again, come over to layers, change it over to my center layer, just like that. Now, you're going to notice it's still showing up as red. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come under properties of that item. And then I'm going to look down through here and I'm going to see if I can find a line type scale. Okay, let me expand this out so you can see it. So it says line type scale. Let's try messing with this. Let's try 0.5 and see if that changes anything. Look over here, hit escape. You're going to notice it now allows that to be a true center line. That's great. That's exactly what we wanted. So we can go ahead and close that out. Next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and put some center lines in. So we're going to go ahead and type in the command center mark. Find center mark. We're going to make sure that we are on our center layer. We're going to pick the largest circles to work with. Then we're going to go ahead and take this circle right here. Now you're going to notice that this is only a crosshair in the middle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this object, I'm going to use the explode command, and I'm going to break this down. They're going to go, Mr. Q, how'd you do that? I had that selected and I typed the explode. If you type in explode, you can then go through and just select your item then afterwards. I'm going to make sure I hit the escape 2 times just so I don't have anything selected. Now I've got my entire object here. Next thing I need to do is I need to create some text. Let's go under annotate text, draw a box down here. Wait for our screen to change. Change the text height to 0.125. I'm going to change my font. There we go. Change my font. Hard time here. Fan this out. 5. And let's right here. My font. I want to change it to something nicer. Let's go with something like, how about we go with Arial? Arial. All right, and let's type in prototype original. And we're going to make sure that we have our justification so that it is center. And we're going to change our layer. Go ahead and hit yes. Hit escape. So all I'm going to do is come up here to my, I am under layers, change my layer to my 0 layer. Simple as that. Let me back down. So on that, pin on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the following. Take this object. I'm going to type in GROUP. Right? Now I've grouped this item. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this center point right here. I'm going to do something special to it. I come back over here, draw in my diagonal line. I know I said that we didn't need it, but we can always redraw it. Then I'm going to simply move my object over and down. So I use that center point and I lined it up to that center of that line. I'm simply deleting. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here, grab this center point, find the approximate center of this object. It was about right there. A little bit more. Stretch it there. Here. See, because I stretch it just a little too much. All right, good enough. I don't know why it wasn't letting me do the rest. Now we've got our object. So the next thing that we're going to do, bother me, off. Select this again, F8, 5. Just a little bit. There we go. F5 and F8 again. Now we've got our whole object here. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and start putting some dimensions on it. So let's go up here, layers, change over to a dimension layer. And then let's go under linear dimensions and start putting in some dimensions here. 1.5 is good here. Let's go ahead and hit spacebar. And let's create another one here, here. That's in the wrong location. So let's go ahead and highlight, grab this point right there. Next thing is going to be spacebar again. We're going to go from here, here. Placing our mark right there. We need another dimension here. So spacebar, here to here. That over. Now I do not want this green line on top of my white line. So I'm going to go ahead, right click, properties, scroll down until I find extension lines. And then I'm going to try turning off whichever one. So I've got extension line 1 and extension line 2. By extension line 1 just happens to be that it worked out just right this time. Sometimes it's not the extension line 1. Sometimes you have to do extension line 2. It depends on how you drew it. Go ahead and close that out. Now, next thing we're going to do is hit spacebar again. And that's not what I want to do. I want to right click because spacebar is going to bring up my properties. I don't want my properties. So I'm going to go ahead and put in from here to here. I'm going to bring that down just like that. But I want my dimension over on this side, just like it shows in there. I'm going to now do another dimension from here, here. Go from here, here. Using my middle mouse button to hand myself down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to correct this in a second here because you're going to see this big space right here. I'm going to select this dimension, right click, go into the properties of it. Again, I'm going to come down here to my extension lines. And I'm going to try turning off my line right here so I can take this. Just so I don't have dimension lines sitting on top of dimension. I'm also going to take end. a little bit so it's not confusing that arrowhead right there. I'll take this down just a little bit for clarity. Close that out. Right click. Dimension linear again. And we're now going to go ahead and create a dimension from edge of our object to the center of that circle. So I'm going to pick here. I'm going to go here. And then that dimension is correct. What did I do? Figure that out in a second here. So that's answering a big question for us. That is clearly something that we did incorrectly. Let's go ahead and do an explode. And let's see what happened here. So let's do not an explode, but an ungroup. Let's figure this out. What happened? If I draw a line from this edge right here, 2 units over, and I go straight down with it, that's where it should be. Somehow or another, I accidentally drew it a little too long. Right? How are we going to fix that, you're going to ask? We're going to do something super simple. We're going to grab all of that information right there. Grab information right here. And I'm going to simply use modify move. And I'm going to take from here over. Hit escape. This, delete it. Take our dimension back over here. That I no longer need the line. Delete it off like that. Problem almost avoided. Right here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take and I got this weird line here. I don't know how long it's supposed to be. But what I want to do is I want to make a new circle right here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those two. Here, draw a circle from center point right here to right here. Then come in here, draw a line from here. And I'm going to go tangent right there, just like that. Over here to my trim command that I used before. Pick my two boundaries. Third boundary right there, right click. Select that piece right there to delete it. Close that. Change my layers or my zero layer. So even though I made a mistake, not the end of the world. I take wording down. Simple as that. I didn't take more than a couple minutes. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't delete the drawing. Go into our annotate again, linear dimension. This time I'm going to dimension from here to here. Let's go ahead, click here, scroll out, click here. Now I got to get the dimension so it shows up correctly. So it's just like that. I'm pretty happy with that. We always try to get it so that smaller dimensions sit inside larger dimensions. So this right here, the way that it's dimensioned right now is correct. I could also do something like this, where the two of them are sharing the same arrowhead area. Makes it look a little nicer, a little cleaner. Let's go ahead and do some modifying here. I'm going to slide this up because I like the way that looks. I like that little bit better cleanness to the drawing. Let's select this drawing piece here. Let's go under the properties of it. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the arrowhead of it. So I'm not going to go with the extension line this time, but I'm going to use the dimension line this time. I'm going to see if I can turn off that dimension line. Perfect. Look at that. Good guess. Okay, I'm going to slide that dimension down. Grab the right point. Nice, easy, and clean looking right there, okay? Now, next thing I want to do is I also want to take this dimension here. I'm going to extend it down just a little bit crazy. because what I want to do is I want to turn off this extension line right here. Find the extension lines for that. And let's select off button. Perfect. Bring it back up. Now, what I want to do is I want to fix this so that this dimension piece here goes all the way up to here. Okay. I'm going to extend this down. Okay, just like that. And what I want to do is, actually, I'm going to a little different so that you can see it a little bit. I'm going to slide it all the way up, bring this down. And then what I want to do is I want to hit escape because I only want this dimension here selected. I'm going to come down over to its extension line and I'm going to try turning off the the extension line here, not over here. Let's go ahead and keep that one on. And let's try turning this off. Perfect. Now I can take this dimension, stretch it down. And now this dimension here is sharing the same extension line as that dimension. Just makes things a little bit downward line there. Perfect. Good. Next thing is we're going to look at this here. We can see that we got some clarity issues. Let's see what we can do to slide this dimension over here a little bit. I'm going to slide this dimension here a little bit. That looks so much better. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to verify that we have all of our dimensions on here. I know we do not because we have not done any of these radiuses yet, but I want to double check and make sure that I've got all my other dimensions on here. 5, 1.5, 5, 1. Perfect. So we got all those. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use my linear dimension. I'm going to change it. So now I'm going to do all my diameters. Click here, place a diameter. I'm going to pick over spacebar. I'm going to pick, let's see, these two circles here. And spacebar again. Here. They're nice. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to annotate again. This time changing it from diameter to radius. Picking this right, this here. Now notice it wants to put a extension line in here. I'm not real pleased with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it so that this extension is going to come over here more. Let's see here. How do I want to do that? I'm going to go ahead and use explode. I'm going to delete that green arc there. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to simply draw this line right here, straight here. I'm going to then use the extend command. Let's see, modify, trim, extend, right click, placing the object right there. So I'm not guessing. I'm then going to take and draw this arrowhead here, modify, move, pick this point right here, place it right there as that. So now I have something that looks a little bit more representative of what you see in the drawing. The only bad thing is that if I do move this dimension to anywhere, group this, group. So now it acts just like one of these other dimensions. But if I tried to readjust this dimension, it will not allow me to. So just be mindful of that. If you want to make something clear, sometimes you got to modify what you're trying to do, make it work for you. Now, that being said, let's take a look and compare everything here. Looking it all over. My dimensions, yes, they are in slightly different places, but the object is dimensioned correctly. This over here is dimensioned, but it, again, is not really dimensioned for clarity. Look right here. When I move my object, I got to move this dimension. So let's go over here, move, select this. Try to grab it. It's not going to let me. Let's just go ahead and grab it. Fight me. Close that. Oh, so that's wrong. Control Z. And you're going to notice that this dimension's correct, but now this piece here is in the wrong location. So I'm just going to go ahead, modify, move, select this object, and let's pick the end of this dimension. Let me not give me that. What I'm going to do, instead of fighting it, I'm going to just simply on here. Caps off, but on. There we go. It's not get me. Take these three objects here, move here, boom, boom. That's good. Take this here, slide here, slide that. Now that's correct. Mention down just slightly so it's out of the way. All right, so now you can see that I have now created this object and everything looks correct here. Now, I've kind of given you some clues as to how we go through and modify this object so that it looks correct. I'm going to just take and I'm going to highlight this entire object right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to come up to modify, copy, and it's going to ask me for a base point. I'll pick this upper corner right here. Now you're going to notice I can now copy and paste that part over there. I can create another copy of it if I really wanted to. I don't want to, so I'm just going to hit escape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click down here and I'm going to change this so that it now says modified. Scroll over to this side of the screen. And now we're going to look at our object. So now let's take a look here. There we go. So it looks like this circle is larger. Let's go ahead and go under the properties of it. And we're going to change the dimension to the following. Let's see here. Dimension, circle for that. So we're going to go diameter. We're going to change it to 0.833. Watch what happens here. Turn that UCS off. After I do that, I hit that. And now notice that it updated this, updated that. I'm going to come over here. Turn all those off because they drive me nuts. My properties, turn that off. Now you notice it automatically updated. Well, that's pretty easy, huh? Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to take this line here and I've got to modify that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, right click properties, and I'm going to see if I can find something that says length. You're going to notice that it is blocked out. I can't change it. But one of the things that you will notice that is maybe you didn't know what the length of that line was. You can come in here and you can look to see what that length is instead of having to do any dimensioning or anything like that to it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to delete that line. I'm going to draw a new line at this new number. 1.667. Let's come up here to the home, draw. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from this point here, 1.667, enter. You're going to notice that it's slightly longer and taller. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, highlight those items there, item here, and got that dimension right there already. Now what I'm going to do is the following. Modify. From this point right here, that point right there. I'll take this object here, layer, change it over to my 0 layer, hit escape. And here, grab this point here, stretch it up to right there. Boom, boom, boom. Now we got to change this one dimension here. That there. And you're going to notice it has now updated 1.667, 0.833. Let's see, is there anything else I need to worry about? 1.67, 1 inch. These all are the exact same thing. Double checking, making sure everything looks good. It does. So there, that's our drawing. Now what we're going to do is just go ahead and change in our name. So it's connector prototype. All right, hit the enter key, scroll down one time, scale, 1 inch, base was 1 inch. Delete that little period at the end of it. Change our name. Last name, comma, first name, period, is going to be 9. You got to fix this so it doesn't jump off. So paragraph, change it back over to right justify. You could put your date in there, and we're going to change our plate so that it is plate space 8, and click off of it. If you're not confident in your work, don't forget to use that WS autosave. And lastly, now that we've got that all done, I'm going to come up here, go File, Save As. I would go ahead and put that into my 900 drive. Remember how to title it. It's going to be class period underscore last name, first name underscore drawing number. And then go ahead and hit save. Last thing, import PDF. And make sure that you have extents turned on and that we are going to save it to our 900 drive and then upload it to Schoology for a grade. If you have any questions on how to draw this drawing, please contact your instructor.